Our speaker today is Josh Moser. Josh is a graduate from Bentley. He got his master's here a few years ago. He's working on his doctorate, and he is here to talk about careers in the metaverse and how he got hired in emerging technologies at Meta. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Let's see if I can put you back on the screen for everybody else. Oops.
You just pressed it twice.
Oh, did I like stop the meeting or something?
No, you're good.
Let's try that. It's all yours.
All right. Hopefully everyone can hear me.
And the mic is on the table.
Oh, there's a mic here.
It's on the table.
This one?
Yep, this one.
All right. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Thank you for being here in person. Thank you for being online. So today I'm going to talk about Metaverse, the career opportunities, not just Metaverse, but the key tech topics that I have experienced in my career that I'm going to talk about. So maybe if you want to ask me questions, if you're here in person, feel free to do that. But I would prefer that we just save the questions at the end of the presentation so that way everybody can kind of follow through my presentation. So before I dive into my presentation, here's the agenda, right? I'm going to introduce myself. I love talking about myself. I think everybody loves talking about themselves, right? So we're going to talk about the hot topics that I've come across in tech. Okay. We're going to talk about Metaverse, cloud computing, cybersecurity, enterprise applications, project management. So these are from my experience, right? So I'm not going to go into details, but I'll let you do the research. Then I'll talk about my takeaways from my presentation, and then open the floor for question and answer, right? Introduction. I'm not going to be able to talk about myself or talk about me being in tech if I don't reflect on Black History Month, which is this month. There are a lot of people that paved the way for me, and I didn't have interest in technology when I was growing up. But when I did my research, I didn't even know these folks actually did all these amazing things. So these are Black people, as you celebrate Black history, as you enjoy the culture this month, you enjoy the vibe and everything, just think about these people that some of us don't even know that they did things like this, right? So Garrett Morgan invented traffic light. Can you imagine if we don't have traffic light today, or how many accidents we're going to be having? So Mary invented home security. So if you have Ring camera in your house, you have a CCTV camera in your house. She was one who, a Black woman who did that. The other person I have here is Marianne. So Marianne invented voice over internet protocols. Your ability to do TikTok, Facebook Reels, and all this cool stuff, Instagram Reels, was created by her. She actually currently works for Google. She's a top person there, and she invented this. When I mean invented, they patented it. So they created it and patented it, so other companies can use their stuff, right? So they invented it. The last person I have here is Gavis. So I didn't even know she created, she contributed to GPS. I can't go to many places today without GPS. So these are the folks that I've been able to highlight, that really change the tech world or change the world using technology. So it's going to touch on my topics today on Metaverse, right? Because one of the first topics I have here before I actually introduce the topic is Metaverse. Like it's going to change things for all of us in the next 10 years. So about me, right? I've talked about people who invented things in technology. So what about me? I pretty much, like I said, my bachelor's was in accounting. I went to HBCU in Texas, did my bachelor's in accounting, did internships, with the Big Four, then I started with Bentley here. So I was just like you. I used to come in this lab. I used to be tutored. I didn't tutor at all. I wasn't a tutor when I, was here, but I was a math tutor when I was in college. But when I came here, I took interest in technology. That was where my career in tech started. This was like 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. Did my MBA as well. So finished at Bentley, started with PwC, left PwC, and ended up with Citrix Systems. Anybody here know Citrix? Okay, so Citrix, they do virtual machines. They have a remote app, so you can remote from your desktop, from your home, you can work from home. Citrix system became very popular because of the pandemic. So I took up a job there, a cybersecurity role. And then here I am with Meta. Now, I mean, Facebook now called Meta. So Facebook, it was a cool job for me to take. And here you see, I'm pursuing my education in doctorate. So my career has been very interesting. I've been a non-traditional computer science student to picking up technology. And today I'm speaking to most of you here are already doing computer science. So just if you think about it, the timeline is like 10 years. Like 10 years I've evolved as a person in tech, and I'm still evolving. So how did I get hired? I know the topic I choose to present today is how I got hired. It's basically interviews. You're going to be interviews. I'll encourage anyone hearing me today, get your resume ready. Don't wait. Get your LinkedIn. I actually went to Marblehead High School this morning, and I was surprised that most people don't have LinkedIn. They're high school students, so I don't blame them. But if you're college students, one of the things I want you to understand is get your present, your digital present ready. If you have a LinkedIn and you're not updating it, you should start updating your LinkedIn, because my LinkedIn was very helpful with me with getting my job. It's my digital presence. And then my education and my experience. So I went to Bentley. So everybody was excited. I was excited. I went to Bentley. My experience was, so I got hired to join Facebook because of my skills, my experience. I did series of interviews, so, and those interviews you're grilled, you get asked questions about your experience, and that your resume is what projects you. So if you have TikTok, you have Instagram, you have all those apps, you shouldn't have any reason not to have LinkedIn and update it, not just have it. So what I do now, I work with engineers. So I work closely with engineers. At Facebook, we do our stuff. We don't, we use other people's stuff, but I work closely with them to improve security, privacy, regulatory requirements. Unfortunately, I'm not going to talk much about Facebook today because I'm not allowed in terms of the policy. But the three things I've seen as I went through technology, through Bentley, people, process, and tools, they all operate in technology. So you have to work with people, you have to improve process, you have to use the right tools. So that's what I do now. Then in the next 5 years, maybe I'll be a CEO or CTO or something in tech. I may be, that's my goal. I want to shoot a goal where in the next 5 years, I'm helping to build the technology or the application, in the company or any company I thought. Or maybe I'll do that at Meta, who knows? So this is all about me. Now let's go into the real topic, Metaverse. Anyone here knows anything about Metaverse? I like to be engaged with everybody too. Anyone know anything about Metaverse? Not like that? Okay. All right. So hopefully after this, you have an idea. So the Metaverse is a virtual world. Think about us right now. We're going to be in the Metaverse, which means you can be in your bedroom, you can be in your living room, and you all engage with me in the virtual world. So the Metaverse is a virtual world where people, imagine what you do right now. You eat, you shop, you hang out. So you're going to be hanging out. The example I gave the high school student this morning was, think about a dream. When you dream, you are in the virtual, you're in a dream. So you're in the virtual world. So that's what the Metaverse is going to look like. But there will be some elements, right? There'll be some things that makes up the Metaverse. One of the things I see here is social media, and the workplace, the NFTs, digital currency. There's so many things, gaming, digital assets. concerts and all of that. So I do have a video that talks about Metaverse I want to play. So just listening. We can play. Is there a way to play video game?
Did you share, when you shared your screen, did you share it by your Then just expand
You wouldn't feel well either if you attempted to spend 24 hours living in virtual reality or
And the best way to understand the metaverse is to experience it yourself.
You wouldn't feel well either if you attempted to spend 24 hours living in virtual reality or the metaverse. Don't know what the metaverse is? That's okay. I'm not sure anyone really does. But Meta, formerly known as Facebook, Microsoft, and more, are defining it as the virtual world that is the next phase of the internet. In this world, we have digital versions of ourselves, or avatars.
We call this the metaverse. And you're going to be able to do almost anything you can imagine. Get together with friends and family, work, learn, play, shop.
So I decided, why wait? And stupidly, I dared myself to visit the metaverse for a full 24 hours in its current, not so great state. In fact, Meta and others will tell you that the metaverse isn't even here yet. But the best way to see the start of it is in virtual reality. And since I didn't want to pop into a headset with my kids running around, I packed my bags and moved to the Holiday Inn Express around the corner. I set a few rules. The headset can come off to eat and go to the bathroom. Yes, I attempted to sleep with it on. I checked my phone only if it was urgent. I had notifications coming into the Oculus Quest 2 headset, which is made by Meta. It's about 6 p.m. Start on my metaverse journey. I've got 2 headsets and some technical issues. Lots of apps and other things preloaded for different parts of the day and night. What could go wrong?
Welcome to Beat Saber. Now cut the cubes in the arrow direction and match the color. That was too soon. Wait for the beat. Wrong direction. Wrong direction.
This is very mean. I started with games like Beat Saber, since right now they're the most popular use of VR. And while many games allow you to play with others, I had no real friends to play Beat Saber with them. So I decided to go elsewhere for some social interaction. Altspace VR, an app that allows you to hang out with other avatars in virtual venues. Okay, customize my avatar for a night out. Yes, in the metaverse. I'm gonna have short hair. I wasn't exactly prepared for what would happen next. But as soon as I was in a public area, I started hearing people talk, chat. Apparently there are no masks in the metaverse. I was dropped into an area with lots of trippy little Lego-looking people, and I attempted to interview them. Wow, I want to learn what you guys do. I knew I had really made friends forever when they asked me.
All right, I'm gonna stop now. So when you get a chance, just watch that video. It's on YouTube. So that gives us an idea of what a metaverse is. You know, you're gonna be right now is not. We don't have a metaverse right now. We just have a prototype, right? You have avatars. You know, everybody's racing for that, and the goal is to be able to create Internet 3.0. You know, think about it. 10 years ago, the internet is not the internet we see today, you know. So the trend we're seeing right now, the value chain, what we're seeing right now is everybody, all the big companies are all excited about this opportunity because of the value it's going to create. There will be, you know, creator economy. You know, you're going to be empowered to create. You know, if you think about it, if you have TikTok, you know, you're creating those videos, you're creating those things. The metaverse is going to give you more power. You're going to be able to make money by yourself. No, you know, nothing, and that goes to decentralization. In the metaverse, right? The idea of the metaverse is you're not going to have a central authority, like you're not going to have the government doing so much in how you do your things in the metaverse, just like social media now, though there's a lot of regulation. So I like this slide that John Randolph, researched on. He talks about the layers of the metaverse. We need to have infrastructure to be able to have those data, all those videos, all those metaverse things that's going on. Those infrastructure, I think one of them is 5G, right? The world, we know 5G is common now, but before now, we used to have 2G, 3G, and all of that. So tech is going to be ready in the next couple of years, and for that to happen, all these layers needs to interact with each other to be able to create the metaverse. The other thing I wanted to highlight is who are the key players. Who are those people interested in making this metaverse a reality? Social media company is number one. Yeah, I work for one of them, right? So TikTok is also there, Snapchat. So all these companies are experimenting ways they can, move things into the virtual world. Fintech, I don't know. Anybody here knows of NFT, cryptocurrency? Yeah, so you're not going to be having your dollar now to do stuff in the metaverse. You're going to be using those digital currency. Cloud computing is another big one. So I know Meta and the others are building a big supercomputer, a big cloud infrastructure. Communication, your 5G, you need to be able to have all these things play along. Gaming, software and hardware. We have the Oculus headset. Who knows what's going to come out in the next couple of years. So a lot of companies are working hand to hand. But one thing you should know is they all need each other to make the metaverse a reality. Nobody is going to own the metaverse. It's going to be everybody working together. It's just like the internet. Our parents never knew anything about internet, right? These days, we kind of go on Google and we find whatever we need. I don't know how many of us can survive without internet. I don't think we can. Oh, you can?
No, we can't.
So you need everybody to play along. So it's not a kind of Facebook thing or Google thing. Everybody needs to work together to get to that metaverse. So there are opportunities. I think this is this is going to be interesting for you guys because now that you're doing computer science, you should start thinking about the next 10 years. Your jobs are going to be evolving, right? So as new technologies are being introduced, you're going to have, if you're doing augmented reality, you're doing machine learning, virtual reality, we need, almost all jobs need engineers. Every company needs engineers and they get paid so well. So if you are into hardware, if you're interested in hardware, it will be a job opportunity for you. Product managers, storytellers, if you love to tell stories, you do your TikTok and you're enjoying it, you're going to be able to get hired. So there's so many career opportunities in the matter, even marketing, content creators. So like I say, a lot of us are going to be part of the content creators, so we're going to be creating the content in Metaverse. Data scientists, cybersecurity experts. So these are the job opportunities that I've been able to research. This is not me coming up with this. I did some research to find out. So if you're thinking of the metaverse, how can you play your own part? Start, preparing yourself to see how the jobs are going to evolve. So the next topic I have is cloud computing. So the reason why I feel like these two go hand in hand because the way we store our data now is different, right? The way we store our data, the way we consume our data. In the past, you used to save your stuff on your laptop, on your phone, and then once those devices are no longer available, like if somebody stole your laptop, you all like, oh, where's my data? Where's my data? But these days, we have cloud computing where you can save stuff in the cloud. And when you save those stuff, whether your device is not working, you can easily access them. So why cloud computing? Cloud computing is very important because it helps to scale something. If you're thinking of the metaverse, you're thinking of scalability. Can you scale 2 billion people how many billions of people we have in the world to be able to use your application. So scalability, security, accessibility. One of the common cloud computing that I know of is iCloud, right? iCloud, Google Drive. So the reason why we need cloud computing is because of that. You're able to access things wherever you are, anywhere you are. The other concept I have is CapEx versus OpEx. Capital expenditure and operating expenditures are two different things in accounting. Companies that are using cloud computing, they don't spend their money upfront, because when you want to store your data, you need to build your data center, you need to spend a lot of money, you need to hire people, you need to be able to store your data in a data warehouse, right? So if you have a building, you spend so much money buying the land, doing this infrastructure and all that stuff. Companies these days are using cloud computing, they don't look at that anymore. They look at operating expenditure. So in their accounting, in their finance, they don't spend so much money. And an example here would be, if a company wants to store their data in the data center or in the cloud, they will have to spend less money to store data in the cloud, because at the end of the day, they don't count that as a capital expenditure. They talk about the operating expenses. The other thing here is the data center you're talking about is just like your house, like this classroom. You have the data center has all the racks, it has all the security, instead of building your data center, you can put things in the cloud like AWS, all that stuff. So the cloud computing services that I'm aware of from my research, there are 4 of them: software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, and desktop as a service. So I have some examples for each, so that way you can begin to understand it, because in the tech world right now, these 4 examples are now common. When you think of software as a service, you're thinking of the ability to just use your password and your username to get access to the cloud computing application. So if you're thinking of Workday, right, most of us that work in the field, Workday is a cloud computing application that just came out. It changed the way HR do stuff, It changed the way businesses, handle employee data and all of that. All I needed to do to get to my Workday is my password and my user name. The same thing with your Google Drive, your G Suite. If you go to any laptop here, you can type in your email, your password, your username, and get. So that's an example of software as a service. Platform as a service is basically a platform that big companies like Google, Azure, and AWS, they build a platform and they sell the space to other companies. So you can build your own product on that platform. The same thing with infrastructure. So they have more capacity, and they give you, the last one I have is desktop as a service. Citrix is a good example. VMware is a good example where they virtualize the desktop. There are 2 different, there are 3 different ways of deploying cloud. You can deploy the private. Private means you only have the data, Public means you share the data you share the space with other people. And hybrid, you can have a combination of those. The reason why cloud computing is important is going to help power the metaverse. It's going to help power how you and I process our data, how you and I access our data, because the culture now is shifting on accessibility, right? It's shifting on scalability. You want to be able to scale, and a lot of companies don't have the money to just build a data center. They rather just scale into the cloud. Then there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of opportunities that most of us should consider. You can be a cloud software engineer, you can be a cloud consultant, you can be a developer, you can be a system administrator. This job pays well. Like, this is one of the highest paying jobs I can think of in IT, that if you put your interest in it, get into AWS certification, you'll be able to have a job right away. Because the shift right now is a lot of companies are moving into the cloud environment. Then the next topic I have is cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is one of the fields that I experience myself. And the reason why cybersecurity is not going away is because of the CIA tribes. Why do we do cybersecurity? Why are we talking about cyber? So cybersecurity used to be called information security. It kind of evolved to the word cybersecurity because of the so many hacks. Your data, like the picture I have here, your data is so valuable to anybody. People want to hack your password, they want to hack your credit card. So why are they doing this? Is because your data is important. So confidentiality, integrity, and availability, those are three components of why cybersecurity is important. Your data should be confidential. Don't get into that. Don't share your password or your credit card online, right? I don't think anybody wants to do that. But when you do that, you're gonna breach your confidentiality. Don't share your medical record online. So CIA triage is a common technology term that I've seen that I actually work on. Integrity means if your data is, if you have your password or if you have your credit card numbers, it shouldn't be changing, right? It should be accurate, it should be the right information so that when you want to change it, you're going to be the one to change it. So availability means when you need your data. I don't know, most of us remember when Facebook was down, a lot of people were screaming, even Twitter was down, right? Everybody was screaming. So you need to be able to have your data available. You need to be able to have your data in, with integrity, with confidentiality. So those are the three components of cybersecurity that I've seen. And the reason why we do this is because, this framework defines the data protection, the anti-malware, the different components of cybersecurity. Every company is pushing hard to protect their data, and they do that using cybersecurity. The trends that I've seen so far is bring your own device. Like when you think about bring your own bottle when you're going to parties, right? You bring your own bottle. Bringing your own device is a trend I'm seeing right now that a lot of tech professionals are seeing right now because you do stuff with your phone. You bring your phone to work. You bring your phone to the classroom. So companies are having challenges with making sure that your device do not expose their data. The other trend I've seen is IoT, Internet of Things. You go to your home is connected to your phone, your car is connected to your phone. IoT is changing how the security of the data is, evolving. So those are things. Phishing is another thing that most of us are familiar with. So when you get an email from somebody you don't know, don't click on any link, don't do anything with it, even in your school email. There's a lot of phishing campaigns going on at every company today because the bad guys, they send things through email, and once you click on it, they hack your system. So, and that goes the same with password spraying. Password spraying is these bad guys, they tend to guess different passwords, right? So if you're having password to your system, to your application, you want to make sure you have the strongest password, Malware is virus, they download virus into your system, they hack it. DDoS is, sending traffic to your website and shutting it down. Ransomware is also becoming a trend now because, they hack into your system, they hold your data, and they ask you to pay money before they release it. So these are common trends I'm seeing so far as a professional in the field. And I think as a student, you guys should consider a career because the jobs out there for this field is, we're looking for professionals. There's shortage of professionals in cybersecurity. And if you're thinking of a career in cybersecurity, this is what I would suggest you should consider. You should be a vulnerability assessor. You should be a security administrator, analyst, penetration tester. You should be an incident responder, cryptographer. Cryptographer here is basically people that they encrypt data, right? Some people, most companies are encrypting their data now, so you're going to be helping, the company to, encrypt and decrypt the data. If you want a top job, you can be chief information security officer. So trust me, this is one of the hottest fields, and I happen to actually take a role on cybersecurity on my old job. The other topic I have is enterprise applications. So in enterprise applications, the trends I'm seeing right now are the biggest company, are big companies. A lot of these big companies are buying up an enterprise application. For example, SAP, Oracle Fusion, NetSuite, to use one application to do multiple business functions. So every business you see today have different departments. They have different functions that they do. We have HR, we have marketing, we have sales, we have accounting department. So instead of this company using one application for each department to do the business process or to do whatever they need to do, they use one big application that has different modules. So ERP system is basically something that I've seen. I've actually audited it. I've seen most companies use to carry their functions, to do their business functions. So when you think of a career in this field, you should consider, doing something around ERP system. The other one I've seen so far is micro apps. I don't know if you guys remember Facebook Messenger. Messenger used to be part of Facebook product. Now it's split out. So the essence of micro app is, you're just using an application. It's a subset of the main application. So a micro app is doing one thing. It's just solving one problem. In Facebook, they used to have Messenger together with Facebook application. Now people are getting bored of Facebook. They're like, okay, let's just take the Messenger out of Facebook and create that application itself. So it's a subset of the bigger application. So micro apps is one of the trends I'm seeing right now in the tech field. Then when you think of enterprise application, you need to think about, is it in-house or on-prem? So I've been seeing a lot of that in my career so far. Companies can develop their own application in-house. They build it from the ground. They collect the user requirements. They do all these things that needs to be done to build the application. They bring in a developer, and they build it from the ground, and that becomes the application. Or they buy it from somewhere and bring it to the environment. Or they can have a third-party application. So most companies use third-party applications, and most of them are SaaS, like I mentioned earlier, SaaS. Example that I've seen is Microsoft 365. Your email is a good example of third application that most companies are using. Your G Drive is a good example. So which means they don't own the data, they don't own this application, they just buy it from a third party and they use it in the environment. And then sometimes I've seen hybrid applications. Maybe they buy the infrastructure and then they build on top of it. So these are examples of enterprise application I've seen so far in my career. And when you go into the field, you're going to start hearing this word in-house, on-prem, third-party applications. It's very common now. The careers here, it's almost the same. People that does things around enterprise application end up being a CTO, end up being a CIO, end up being because they're all responsible for the entire enterprise, the entire company application or technology ecosystem. So the other topic I have is project management. Let's see if I have time. So project management is very common. Even as a student, you work as a project team, you work in a group project, you work in a class project. So project management is very important in technology because it's kind of collaboration. You need to collaborate with people. You need to, have a timeline. You need to save costs. You need to be flexible. There's two concepts that I've seen in project management: traditional or agile. I've been fortunate to do both of them. When it comes to traditional, there's what we call SDLC, system software development lifecycle. That one is very common. It's a traditional thing that I've seen. When you want to build an application, you start with the analysis, you start with the design, you do the development, you do the testing, you do the deployment, and then you do maintenance. if you're thinking of a career in technology, you see this a lot. This is the standard one. Then the other one is the agile. The agile methodologies are basically everything is done in 2 weeks. It's like a sprint. If you want to build a feature, you want to build a product, you do it every 2 weeks. You have a scrum master. First of all, you have a product owner, the person that owns the product you're trying to build. The product owner collects all the requirements. In technology, requirement is a very frequent word, right? We use requirement a lot. So requirements is being collected by the product owner. Then they'll set up a meeting, they'll talk about it. Then they ship the requirements to the team. The team will be maybe 2 or 3 people that work in sprint. They'll work in sprint to get a future of that product done within the timeline. And if they don't do that, they put it in a backlog. They come back and say, oh, we didn't finish this particular task. Let's go back to the backlog. And once they're done, they have a sprint review. They look at the finished product, and sometimes they have retrospective, which is they look back on how they did. So the Scrum Master is becoming more like the project manager, but not necessarily a project manager. So when you think of project management, it's kind of part of your skill set that you should have as a tech professional. Though if you're doing development or you're doing apps or all that stuff, you may not necessarily need it. But if you're thinking of breaking into the field, into IT, project management is very, very important. It helps to guide the project to completion. Then I looked at the career opportunities you have here. It will be IT project manager, business analyst, I even put account manager. So all these career opportunities will touch on project management because you need to complete the project. And then I have a case scenario that I wanted to share with us. Since I'm not allowed to talk about my work, I just came up with something, and it says, how would you start and grow an online business of your choice in Massachusetts or even in Metaverse, So how would you start a business, an online business? Think about if you start an online clothing store, right? How would you do that? There's a lot of things you consider. Like I said, you need to consider 5 requirements for the business, at least 5. So there's more requirement. Requirement means what can I consider? What can I bring? What can I make this business grow? One of the requirements will be, let me use a very common example. If I'm starting a dating app, right? What are the 5 requirements for starting a dating app? Because it's going to be online. One of them will be, I need to consider the age. I need to consider the population. There's so many things you need to consider to be able to build the application. Then you need to consider your competitors, right? Who are your competitors? Assuming if I'm doing a dating app, right? Or if I'm doing a clothing app, that would probably be a good example. I need to consider who am I going to be competing with? Who are my stakeholders? Who do I need to get the supply or something? Who are my partners and who are my customers? Then do you want to in-house or you want to outsource? So business are faced with the decision of whether they want to build it in-house, which means if you're starting an online business, you need to think about the application, the infrastructure, the database, the operating system. So either you make that choice or you go and buy, from somebody outside who's able to do that. Then you need to consider the challenges your business will face. Every business has to face a challenge because you're solving a problem, and that problem creates challenges for you. So your goal is to be unique and be able to overcome those challenges. Some of these challenges may be regulation, some of them may be new products that's coming out. Then you need to set your KPIs, key performance indicators, your metrics. In the next 10 years, like for me, the way I introduce myself, in the next 5 years, I want to see something, right? So in the past 5 years, I wasn't even in tech, but then 5 years later, I'm already in tech. So you need to be able to set metrics for your goal or for your business. The takeaways, I will spend some time on this, then I'll open it up for Q&A. So these tech topics, I highlighted them. I didn't go in details. but I wanted to introduce them to you guys because they're very important in technology. You really need to know this tech topic because they are changing how technology is being built these days and how they're being consumed. And for me, like I mentioned earlier, I started with an accounting degree 5 years ago. Now I'm managing and shipping key applications. In my company right now, we're all focusing on the metaverse. So a lot of the applications that are happening goes through my team. So what I want to encourage us today is, when you think about it, you need to set your long-term and short-term goals, right? You don't live in the moment, right? Don't live because, oh, I'm doing CIS, degree. I'm doing computer science. Oh, I'm just going to be a developer. Don't think like that. Think about how the tech world is innovating. The TikTok you see today, the Facebook you see today may not exist. And that's why we're talking about metaverse now, right? So set long-term and short-term career goals for yourself and use the trends. Don't just rely on, the things that you think you know now. So there will be a trend, there will be things that will happen. Then, like I said here, IT is going to always innovate. So IT is going to challenge every field. IT is not going away. So you need to think of getting your master's. It doesn't have to be a Bentley. You need to get your certifications. There's so many certifications out there. And then you need to think about problem solving. Like, whatever you're doing right now, if you're writing a code, your Java, your Python, think about that. You're solving a problem. So try to look at the bigger picture and see that if you're building these skills, problem solving, analytical and communication skills, you're going to succeed in the field. And the reason why this is important is I can tell you every day I am faced with challenges at work, even in my own life. Like I have to solve problems. The reason why we are living life is to solve problems, to pay bills. That's a problem. The last thing I have is pursue your passion and have fun. If you're passionate, if you're an athlete, you're passionate about that, do that. That may be a tech part of what you're doing. If you're good at hiking, that may be a tech part of it. Maybe you can create something, that you can create an app. So always think about doing something that is passionate, that is something that you're passionate about. Don't do things because others are doing it, but always pursue passion and have fun, so that way you enjoy it. I think I'll open up for Q&A, but I do have a throwback here. So if you want to contact me, you can contact me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, but I have a throwback from my Instagram page. I still have this up till today. I used to be here, I was tutored by one of the tutors here. This was 2017, and I graduated, and I'm very proud. I'm very happy. So I'll open it up for Q&A and ask me anything except Facebook related.
First, let's go to people online and ask if there's anybody has questions online. Kendrick, can you put Josh, can you stop sharing so we can see the folks online?
Yeah.
So first, if you're online and you want to ask a question to Josh, we'll go to you guys first. I see nobody online yet. So let's go to folks here. Okay, there we go.
Would you like to own your own IT company? And so what field? Or if you don't want to own your own IT company, where is your like main goal that you're trying to reach with your career?
It's a great question. Right now, if I own my own IT company, it would be a cybersecurity consulting company.
Mm-hmm.
But in the future, I still feel like my goal is to be a C-suite. So which means I want to be in the boardroom where we're making a decision around helping any company to not just do IT but also security, make sure everything that has to make sure. For example, every business now use technology to compete better, to be better than the other, right? So My goal would be, basically work for more than next 10 years and see if I'm going to retire early, then I'll for sure an interest in cyber security because that's not going away anytime soon.
No.
Yeah. Yep.
So I have a question about not particularly maybe your job, but like metaverse in general. Am I allowed to ask that?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, so I'm a finance student, so and also a teacher here. So my interest is more on like the business side. I know Facebook is going like straight into this, like they even renamed to the extent they renamed themselves. So like what is the metaverse? Like I can see like utility, like if you're in a company and you're doing meetings and stuff like that. So like you're basically always together, even if you're away from each other. So something like COVID won't affect you guys or anything like that. But like, does it go beyond that where like you're expected to like do your whole day in the metaverse and like you're playing games in the metaverse, or is it all of the above, including like the business side of it and like the play side, like maybe someone might want to play games in the metaverse?
I think from what I've seen right now, we still don't know what the metaverse is right now. It's still being explored by everyone. But from what we just mentioned, like if you're into game, you can do that in the metaverse. Like the video that I showed us earlier touched on that. You can do meetings in the metaverse. I think Facebook has an app, Horizon, where you can do more in the metaverse. And I know other companies are coming up with their own tools. So to answer your question, a lot of people are not sure what this is going to look like, but it's going to change our social interaction. It's like 10 years ago, we didn't have much on social media. Like the internet was not really that strong. So it's gonna move everybody. An example I always give people is I'm from Nigeria. I'm from Nigeria. Last December I went home. I paid like more than $2,000 for ticket just to go see my family, to be around there. So what the metaverse is going to look like in the future, from what I'm reading and from what I'm seeing, this is not related to Facebook or Meta, is that instead of me paying $2,000 to go to Nigeria, I'll have them here if I want to. I'll feel them, I'll be with them. I'll do that in the virtual space, and I still feel like I'm part of them instead of taking out those risks or long journey to go back to Africa. So the metaverse is going to change how we interact, how we do stuff. Just like the pandemic, you see how the pandemic changed a lot of things. Right now, all of us are wearing masks, so it's going to change how we live, how we do things. So we just have to be ready for it, right? So a lot of companies are into it right now because of the opportunities. The money there is like I think over $1 trillion. There's going to be a lot of advertisement in the metaverse. There's going to be a lot of it's right now it's still being figured out, so it's not certain. Yeah.
I have a question as to like how you plan to like make the metaverse more accessible to everybody. Because the way I see it now, like at least with stuff like NFTs, it's just a way for like the rich to get richer. Like I don't really see like a regular person being able to participate in that.
So I think the regular person it comes with choice, right? If you have a choice to do NFT, you can. It's interest. I think for me, the metaverse is going to be open for everybody. If you have an interest to do it, like you have a choice of doing either English language, studying English language, or CIS, right? What's the major?
No, I don't have one yet.
So you don't have one. So you see, you have a choice to be in this room. So it's a matter of choice. So I don't think it's restricted to people. Even me right now, I don't have the Oculus headset. It's my choice because I just like, oh, I need to get it. I need to get it. But it's gonna entice people like you, myself, to have more interest in it. So I don't think it's restricted right now. And right now, it's a matter of choice for me to do cryptocurrency. I feel like it's still not saturated. It's not ready. I'm not ready to do it, so I just decided to not do it. So I don't think it's going to be restricted to anybody. It's going to be, that's why I say the creator economy. You're going to be a creator, and you're going to be empowered to do that. The only challenges that comes with that is you're going to give up your data, right? You're going to be able to have a presence, your online presence. It's like using social media now, right? You have to give up your data to get access to social media. You're not paying for that, right? But eventually that may change, you may start getting charged to use social media. And that it goes back to your choice. Do you want to do it or you don't want to do it?
To build off of that question, because it looks a lot, do you ever think it won't be a choice? As like a while ago, it was a choice to own a phone or not. You could still communicate with the outside world. But now if you don't own a phone, you're pretty much inaccessible. Like you have no means of communicating with other people and like setting schedules and making times. Like it's almost not a choice to own a phone anymore or have some sort of communication device. So as the metaverse develops and builds, do you think there's going to be more changes to become not a choice?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. Because like you say, can you live without your phone for like even an hour? That's difficult, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Human life, the way you behave, the way you interact, because this technology are going after you, how you behave, your behavior, your interaction. So it's gonna you want to do it because you see people are doing it. It's cool. Like the way TikTok came about recently, it's amazing, right? The pandemic pushed everybody to stay at home. You're not interacting with people, then you choose to be on TikTok, on Facebook, or social media. But then there are people who say, no, I'm never going to do this. And they stick to that. So the metaverse is not going to infringe on your rights. It's not going to make you or force you to choose it or not. So that's why I think, in my own opinion, I think it's a matter of choice. And if you choose not to do it, then you stick to your normal, it's a virtual world. If you choose to be in the virtual world, you be in the virtual. If you don't want to, you stick to your normal self,
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're mentioning that the metaverse is like a matter of choice, but I feel like if it really gets fully developed, where it's going, it's not really going to be much of a choice. Because of things like climate change, for example, the trend I see going is the world is just going to get worse and worse as it goes on. And the metaverse is going to be the only online escape available for people to.
Yeah, I can get back to you on that, but maybe you see a research from me that says it's a matter of choice. But for climate, it's very political when you talk about climate change as well. But right now, like I say, like if you think about innovation, right? Innovation, you have electric cars, right? You have Tesla, doing what Elon Musk doing what he's doing, right? So like people still have to choose whether to use Tesla or not, or use electric car. But to your point, where the choices are a little bit limited is when the government comes into play. They say, oh, everybody must own an electric car by 2030. Then that's where I think the metaverse is not going to get to like that. But if you don't get to like that, like Facebook right now is being scrutinized by everybody, right? Even the government, right? So it's going to be a battle because people are going to be like, oh, is my choice to be in the metaverse or not? So I think it's still debatable if we get to the metaverse and if we're still not, we don't have the choice to get in or get out, then, it's a matter of you doing that. So that's my opinion, but, we can research more on it and see if you're restricted or not. Any other questions?
So just a follow up on my question, like in your conversations about what you can find in the metaverse and what you can do with it, is it more social based or business based?
I think it's going to be the biggest driver is business right now because of the money that the opportunities that this will create. I think I was watching Reddit or something like that, where there will be there's always drawbacks, right? There's always a disadvantage. For example, somebody was saying something somewhere like if you're in the metaverse, you're doing meetings, you cannot have coffee. You still need to have coffee like a human being, right? So, but when you think about the metaverse, it's going to create opportunities, even the things that we don't know till today. But I think the money that the business will make from doing it, especially when it comes to ads, like my company is the business model is ad, So we all know that, right? So you make money from ads, right? So if a lot of people, if we have half of the human population in this world in the metaverse, think about the opportunity that will create. Companies want to be present. They want to sell their product. They want to convince you. They want to change your human behavior. They want to make you feel like, oh, you want this right now, So it's going to change a lot of things. It's going to make social media less important. It's going to make traveling to the mall less important. It's going to make you and I wanting to be in the metaverse more important. It's going to create new things that we don't see today. Nobody knew today that will be wearing masks. When I go to the hospital and see people with masks, I'm like, how do you guys breathe? But today is like a norm, right? Until when we are out of the pandemic. So just think about that, right? The pandemic kind of taught, I think the reason why all these things are becoming a trend is because of the pandemic. Because human beings are trying to find an alternative to escape realities. And one of the realities right now is we're still going through the pandemic. We don't know when it's going to be over. And when it's over, then people become normal, right? My only prayer, how many of us know about Pokemon Go? My only wish is that when the meta comes back to reality, I don't see somebody with their Oculus headset or whatever on the road and trying to get a Pokemon, whatever. Like I don't want people to go crazy. You know how the world goes crazy right now, even with TikTok, right? You see people doing TikTok so crazy, like people are so consumed. Like our age are probably over TikTok, but high schoolers, they go crazy with TikTok these days, right? Because of why? Is the interest, what makes them to do that is because technology is absorbing how we human being behaves. And that's something we're going to see. But the business is pushing because they have the money to fund it. And like Facebook, we have the money, right? So why not exploit? And the goal here is to have the market share. If Microsoft get into it because they have the money, or Apple get into it. If you think about it right now, Nokia used to be 10 years ago, or actually 15 years ago, Nokia. Do you guys remember Nokia? Their phone. It used to be in the largest market share, but now they're not even operating. Think about MySpace. Think about other products. So technology is always going to innovate. That's why we, as students or learners, we need to keep innovating. We need to keep researching about this topic. And one of the things I do is when I hear things like this, I start looking into it. I don't waste time. I start to get myself familiarized with it. So yeah, so think about Metaverse 10 years from now. You'll be like, oh wow, it's actually realistic. Any other questions? No question online? I have, yeah.
So for someone who's like thinking about going into tech, what is you don't have to share specifics, but a typical work week, is it a 40-hour or are you talking like 50, 60, 70-hour work week because of the workload, or has it changed throughout your career?
For myself, I've enjoyed it so far because I tend to work remote. I've been working remote for 2 years now, and the flexibility is great. It depends on different companies. Some people, if you're an engineer or you're a developer and you don't have enough talent, this is why I'm encouraging all of us to think about tech, right? Because there's a huge shortage of tech talent. So if you're thinking of tech, you're going to get hired easily, quickly, because every company needs a tech person in their company. So when you don't have enough people doing the job, then you spend more than 40 hours. So for me right now, since I left the Big Four, my work-life balance has improved because I work less than even 40 hours. Like I have my own time. I manage myself. Since I'm a manager, I tend to manage myself, manage the project. All they need you is to deliver. If you have a task, sometimes you can work late, but it's not all the time. But if you can deliver on your task, you can communicate very well, like I mentioned in my deck. If you have a good communication skills, you set goals, you set deadlines, you manage yourself, you manage the project, you'll be fine. You can work anywhere. My company, I got hired as a remote worker, so I work remote and I love it. In the morning I go to the gym, I go get my haircut, I do other things. Then my team is actually in California. Most of my team are in California, so the time difference didn't help me. But I've really enjoyed working remote and working less time and getting paid tons of money. I could have a second job if I want, but sometimes I just feel like I don't need it, So there's a lot of opportunities, and engineers make the best. They make all the friends that I know that are engineers, they're doing so well, So if you're thinking of engineering degree or something like that, look into that. But if you're in CIS, CIS is a trend that is taking over. For me to get into it, it says if I can do it, with an accounting degree, you can do it. So if you're not sure of the major, maybe after this presentation, you can be a cybersecurity expert, or you can be a cloud computing expert. All it takes is your interest. If you put your mindset into it and you go into YouTube or go on Google and start researching and studying it, you'll be on the right path to succeed. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? Yep.
I don't know if you can speak on this, but from my understanding, on-chain storing data on something like a blockchain is it's a very expensive process, and so it prevents people from adopting the technology and prevents it from being as scalable as we'd like. I'm curious to know if you think Facebook is continuing to stay in the same market, so the social aspect, or if they're moving to more kind of like providing the infrastructure with all their resources.
Yeah, I think I don't really know what Facebook is doing right now in terms of, but I think a lot of public information is that we're trying to increase the metaverse. But a lot of things we're doing is we're keeping our own infrastructure while we're doing that. So we don't want to rely on Apple, like the iOS change that happened. It really hit our minds, right? So to just keep it sharp based on public information that I know that you can even find on the internet, they try to build their own, hardware, their own products, so that way they don't have to. It's a competition out there, with Apple, with Google, with everybody, So they still want to maintain the social aspect of it, but at the same time they want to have a lot to do.
Sorry, just add on. Do you personally think that there's a good social aspect to the whole metaverse thing?
Yeah, it's going to change our social interactions, our connectivity. Like I said, I don't need to take a ticket to Nigeria to see my family. I just need to bring them on the metaverse, and but is it going to replace human interaction? That's something we're still exploring now.